Does anyone else hate getting assassinated? Well, today we've got an assassination explanation. We're going to give you the ins and outs of how to stop an assassination and how to complete an assassination. Let's get going. So we have a saved game here with the Fremen are in the progress of assassinating us as the Atreides, and we have prepped an assassination against House of Vernius as well. Vernius is warring me here. Let's try to piece them out so they stop causing trouble up there. So how does an assassination start? An assassination starts over in our espionage tree on the factions. You begin by putting an agent on another faction. When you put an agent in the slot of another faction, it'll fill up this orange bar underneath, and once the orange bar fills up over time, the information level on that faction will increase to 1, then 2, then 3 eventually. If you have 2, then 3 agents assigned to it. Now at first you can only have 1 agent assigned to a faction, because after you've reached level 1, you get the opportunity to launch infiltration cells against that faction. An infiltration cell you use on a village that faction controls, and then after doing so, you get an extra slot on them to put another agent on them. Level 1 of infiltration will allow you to put up to 2 cells on somebody. There are developments and certain faction abilities that allow more than 2 cells as well. But in general, 2 cells is the bare minimum you need to get an assassination going. We have put cells on Vernius up here. They're indicated by this little white knife above them saying an infiltration cell is in this village. Now the Fremen have infiltration cells on me as well, and I have not detected them yet, so I can't see them. Looking back here, once we get up to level 3 intelligence information on a faction, if we look at an assassination operation, you need level 3 intelligence on a faction. You also need level 1 information on each of the basic information options: Arrakis, CHOAM, Lands, Red Space, and Guild. Once you've got all those things done and you pay the fee of 500 intel, 1,000 Solari, you can launch the assassination, or begin the assassination mission, which we've got prepped already for Vernius here, but we haven't used yet, because we're going to deal first with the Fremen assassinating us. Once you start an assassination attempt, you get this little window that shows up telling you everything about it, and the person who is defending, who is getting assassinated, does not get this window until they have detected the assassination attempt. So you see at the top of this, it says this one is currently 33 out of 100. If it ever progresses up all the way up to 100, it will complete. When an assassination completes, that player dies and is instantly removed from the game. All of their regions are removed, all of their units are gone, they are out of the game. But in order to get it there, it takes time. It's about 16 days to complete an attempt if everything went perfectly, 16 in-game days, right? So the important parts when looking at this pane are the attempt. Well, so let's step back for 1 second. So detecting the attempt for the defenders happens at sort of a random point. Allegedly, more agents assigned to counterintelligence will detect the attempt faster, but it seems to be pretty heavily random. I think you can detect an attempt on you anywhere from like 25 to like 60% of the way done. You know, if you detect it earlier, very good. If you detect it late, it could be a huge problem. Then the important information that we're looking at this is really the progression factor here in the middle that says 29% currently. So the progression factor starts at 100% and declines over time if the target has agents on counterintelligence. If it's at 100%, it is the assassination attempt progresses over time at the maximum possible speed. If there's anyone at all assigned to counterintelligence, that is in the faction area on the right-hand side here. So this is you putting your agents on counterintelligence to protect you from enemy assassination attempts. So these do a couple things. First of all, they slow down they reduce that progression factor on the assassination. They also give you a daily percentage chance to catch agents that are assigned to you from enemies. So you can catch enemy agents even before an assassination is in progress, but if you do it during an assassination, that can help slow it down as well. They also have a chance to detect operations. So if you have people on counterintelligence before they're assassinating you, when they're still putting infiltration cells on you, you might catch those infiltration cells being put on you, which doesn't stop them, but at least gives you a heads up about what's coming in the short term here. If we go back here, so the progression factor decreases over time as long as anyone's on counterintelligence, and it'll decrease from 100% down to 0%. The way that the assassin increases this, the person trying to kill you, is they make the assassin units, which are just another unit you could train after you unlock them with certain development techs. They cost an amount of intel, 200 base, but I think you can reduce that by half with most factions with certain developments that you research. And then you need to run that assassin, here's one with a knife icon, into an enemy village that has your infiltration cells that you've established. In this case, the Fremen assassin wandered too close to our main base, and we've spotted him out, and we're going to kill him before he can get in and increase that progression factor. Little side note, I love this little screen here. The missiles are coming in, little record scratch. I bet you're wondering how I got in this situation. Then he tells us his backstory before he's blown up by missiles. So we've stopped the Fremen assassin. Now that's important because you can only have one assassin at a time. So if you're running your assassin out to try to get to someone's village to reset that progression factor, if it dies, you're set back a lot because it gives them a lot more time. You really want, if you're trying to kill someone, you want to keep your progression factor sort of 70% or higher, as high as you can possibly keep it, in order to keep the assassination progressing in an orderly time frame. Because if we keep looking at the very bottom, it says to keep the assassination going, the Fremen are paying X amount of intel, X amount of solari. They have to pay intel and solari every day that the assassination attempt is ongoing, and the amount that they have to pay increases every day as well. So if an assassination attempt is taking a long time, the person trying to assassinate you is paying an increasingly expensive cost to continue it. How do we stop this? So we can see the assigned agents part says that the Fremen have 3 agents assigned to us, and we have 2 agents on counter intel. We need to get the cells that are assigned to us out of our territory. So we do that by, as soon as we detect the assassination, we get a unique operation called the cell search. So we will start preparing a cell search, which takes 3 days, 3 days during which the assassination attempt will keep progressing. But in this case, because we caught that assassin, we can watch the progression factor is actually ticking down thanks to our agents. The more agents we have in counter intel, the faster the factor will tick down. The more agents they have assigned to us, the slower it will tick down. But it will always tick downward as long as someone's on counter intel. So the cell search reveals infiltration cells in the region that you use it and in neighboring regions. So if I pop it in the middle of my empire here, it'll search this region and all the regions around it. Now, cells can't be on your main base, but because my main base is adjacent to all of my regions, it will be very easy for me to search. If I had a long, strung-out empire that was, kind of snaky, over here, way over here, assassination cells really could be just about anywhere. So I might need to cell search over here. I might need to prep another one, cell search back here, prep another one, right? So the less centralized your empire, the easier it is to assassinate you, probably. They still need to be able to walk their assassins in to get to you, but it'll be a lot harder for you to find all the cells if they are spread out all across your empire. In this case, it should be pretty easy. We've completed our cell search. We're going to use it in Arrakeen here, and because it's adjacent to all of our other places, it'll search everything at once. When you search a region, if you get a little pop-up that says we have an infiltration cell near Arrakeen where we searched. So all of the suspected villages get these little magnifying glasses on them, meaning there could be cells there. Now, in order to do anything about that, we need military units to search them. So we'll grab some of our guys and we'll shuttle back home with them. Now, we don't know that these are cells yet. They're just potential cells. Here's another assassin was coming in. We just saw him there. He's coming. Oh, see, we shot him once and it didn't get him. He's a little confused. He's hurt. He's running back home. We're going to shoot him again. And the AI is just a little bit dumb. We're going to take our military units and we're going to walk them out to search all of these villages. We just right-click on a village with any military unit, and they walk up and you get a little progression bar of the magnifying glass. Once the progression bar fills all the way up, we will have searched that village, and if there was a cell there, it'll be removed. So we're just waiting for our cell searches to progress here. And boom. So, okay, so we've done our first one. We get a little pop-up telling us what the results of that search was. In this case, we've removed an infiltration cell. Let's get some of this extra things out of the way. We've removed an infiltration cell from this town here. So if we look up here, we haven't gotten any agents removed from them. Remember, you need the additional infiltration cells up in order to put additional agents on somebody. So they still have 3 agents on us. Let's finish another cell search. Boom. That one says, yep, we removed an infiltration cell there as well. Now if we look, they only have 2 agents assigned to us. So what that tells us is they had 3 cells overall, because if we get one more cell, they'll be down to 1 agent, and you can always have at least 1 agent on somebody. More than 1 agent means they've got infiltration cells on you. So we suspect there is 1 more infiltration cell back over here, and we will finish that up. Now we'll note that the AI, once you catch all their infiltration cells, will immediately abandon the assassination. So we will expect that. We catch this one, boom, they cancel it, so it disappears. And we get a little notification, the Fremen assassination attempt was canceled. We caught all the assassination cells, we prevented their assassins from getting in to reset that progress factor, and we've ended the assassination. That's how we defend against it. Again, it's easy because we have a really tiny little empire here. It's a lot more difficult if you have a longer, spread out empire. Let's try and kill Vernius. So we take our assassination and we launch it anywhere in their region, and we immediately get the window, but they don't. They don't get this little window until they've detected it. Now look at this. The Vernius we have 3 agents assigned to Vernius, and they have no agents assigned to counter intel. Let me get some guys up here so we don't lose this village to raiders. We can see we have 3 agents in the assigned agents area, and they have no agents in their assigned agents area. That means they have no one on counter intel, and because there's no one on counter intel for them, our progression factor is not decreasing. It's staying steady at 100%. And so we get a little extrapolation of if it stays at 100% at the current rate, the assassination will complete in 15 more days. And on the top right, you can see it says undetected. So Vernius doesn't know this is happening yet. Yes. So this is best case scenario for us. We don't even need to send our assassins in to increase the progression factor. We can just sit and wait, and they are being killed at the maximum possible rate. Also of note, because we are at peace with Vernius right now, if they see our assassin, we'll walk them up towards their main base. They should be able to see him now. They won't attack him because we're at peace, right? Make sure you are not at peace with people who are assassinating you, because you want to be able to kill those agents. So we'll let this progress. We're on double speed, so it should move along fairly quickly here. Eventually, they're going to detect it and put agents in counter intel, and then we'll have to send our assassins in. It's cooking along at 100%. So, of note, the agents on counter. If you have agents assigned to people, okay, so they've detected it now. Let's pause real quick. If you have agents, if you assign an agent to Chome, it's making you money. If you assign an agent to Space and Guild, it's making you manpower. If you assign agents to people, to factions directly, those agents produce intel for you. And if you have agents on counterintelligence, they don't produce anything at all. They just give you a chance to catch other agents and detect operations and things. So oftentimes people will be greedy and not have people on counterintelligence because it's not actually producing anything for them. You certainly want counterintelligence agents probably from month 4 or 5 onward, at least 1, right? If they had 1, it would be reducing. So they just detected me, and the AI, the computer instantly put 3 agents on counter intel. So our progression factor is now dropping over time, 95, 94, 93. So what we do, we can let it go for a little while because that's still a pretty good progression factor. But in order to keep this going, let's make some troops here maybe. So we take our agent and we walk him into the village that we have our infiltration cell. So he walks up, he gets close, he disappears, and then our progress factor resets back up to 100%. And because he has agents on counter intel, it ticked back down to 98 already. But that is how we reset our progression factor. So in order to keep this assassination going, we make new assassins and get them sent out into those villages to keep that progression factor up. In this case, we'll make sure we're rallying up to the front lines here. We set our rally point forward. So it takes time to make assassins, and it takes time to walk them into villages. And during that time, their counterintelligence is reducing the progression factor, slowing down the speed of the attempt.
I'm on the clock.
We got another assassin, and we're walking them in. And once again, we're at peace with Vernius, so they can't do anything about it, even if they can see him. Back up to 100%. It's going great.
Listening. On it. Yes, sir.
We're going to move our military a little closer here. So one thing you can do in order to, so he is preparing the cell search missions and using them in his territory to try to identify where cells might be. Now we have foolishly put both of our cells very close together here. So if he searched anywhere in this region, he would probably identify both of these at once. It's a good idea if you're trying to murder someone to put cells far apart. One down here, one up there. You still want them close to your borders because you want to be able to get assassins into them as quickly as possible to reset that progression factor back up to 100 to make sure that it's moving along as quickly as possible. But it's also the most obvious spot for assassins to go into. So one thing when you're assassinating someone, you got to keep a close eye on your intel. You're spending a lot of intel, 200 at least, to keep making assassins and sending them in. You're spending a fair bit of Solari. Currently, we're spending 28 intel and 28 Solari a day just to keep the assassination ongoing. And you got to be mindful of those. You could very easily go into Solari debt, which is bad, but won't stop your assassination attempt. You can also go into intel debt, which... Oh, this guy did not get rallied to the front lines because there was a storm above us. You can go into intel debt. If you run out of intel, you get a malus on your empire that makes it significantly more likely for your agents to get caught. Okay, look at this. He has searched this area. He's done a cell search here. We didn't even look, but he removed the cell up here at some point. But he has this military unit here. We can see him searching this village. So one thing we could do if we really want our assassination to succeed, we can go and we can mess with them. So we've broken our treaty, and we will go in and we'll fight this military unit. And that stops him from searching for that cell. So we back off, we run another guy in to reset the progression factor. We don't have enough to make another assassin currently because we are low on intel. Is there any other intel that we can steal maybe via points of interest on the map? And we're going to keep running our military out here to interrupt him, try to keep him from searching this place. But we're in a pretty good spot. We're 90% done, but the progression rate is still dipping down. So one thing you could actually do is sometimes you could find other people with intel and maybe get yourself an intel trade. Would you like money? Let's send the smugglers some money for some intel. And now, once they agree to that, we've got enough to make one more assassin, which I think is all we'll need to finish this off. So we keep them busy, and they're not able to search that village because they need a military unit that stands there over time in order to search the village. We've got another assassin coming out, which should be the final nail in the coffin. Even though his counter intel is working real hard, it's still somewhat likely at this point that if he got rid of this cell, he might be able to stop it. Though we're very progressed, but we're not going to let him do it. We want to kill this guy. So we stop his units from searching, and let's put one with the Fremen are coming in to fight. It's too late, Fremen. You'll never save them. All right, we run our assassin into the village to reset our factor, and now I think we're so far along, there's no chance for them stopping it. So we just sit back and wait. Things progress along. We hit 100%. It even, so you can see we're 100 of 100 and he's not dead. It kind of ticks through 100. So it's sort of like 101 that someone dies. But eventually we should tick through here and boom, the assassination completes. The Vernius is all instantly dead, right? So we stopped an assassination attempt. We completed an assassination. What else do you need to know? Well, one thing Vernius could have done there is they could have abandoned territory. So on all of your villages, you've got this little button here that says abandon the village. You can give up, you lose ownership, you don't get your authority refunded, and you do get a little refund of plascrete based on the buildings that were there. So you could abandon a village, and that immediately becomes neutral. And if they had infiltration cells on you, that would get rid of them, right? If you have something that's far flung and maybe the enemy is harassing you with military there, or you don't think you're going to get it searched, you can abandon it, and that will get rid of that cell instantly. And that's a really, really good way to stay alive if it's a tough assassination attempt that you're having trouble stopping, right? Always better to lose a region or two rather than die instantly. Of note, for specific factions, Vernius gets special computer agents that don't get captured. So if they have gotten the appropriate information levels on you and the appropriate information cells, they can put their computers on you, and then your counterintelligence with their daily chance to catch agents will not catch computers. So you can't catch Vernius computers. That's kind of a cool one. There will always be at least one agent on you. You can never get rid of that last agent, but by looking and seeing that you've reduced them to only one agent, that is an indication that they don't have any more cells on you. So an assassination attempt doesn't end when all the cells are gone. It ends when they cancel it. It's possible that if it was very progressed and you got all the cells, there may still be enough of a progression factor to carry it over the finish line, right? If it's very close to finishing, it may continue. Your counterintelligence will tick that progression factor down to 0, but you got to tick it down to 0 before it completes and kills you, right? So you can still die even though you've done everything right and you've caught the cells. Let's see. Everybody in the game except Atreides has a development that allows one additional information cell, and also that development often makes assassins 50% cheaper. So that's a really critical tech to take for assassinating people. Atreides don't get that at all, so they're probably the worst at assassinating people. Of note, the smugglers have an underworld headquarters that they can install in people's main bases that add an additional infiltration cell. You can see that normally infiltration cells are capped out at 0 of 2, and because I'm Atreides, if I had the tech, it would be 0 of 3. If I was smugglers, it could be as high as 0 of 4. They could have 4 different infiltration cells. Now that doesn't increase the amount of agents they could assign to me, but it increases the amount of cells I need to remove before it starts to kick their agents out of intel on me. Vernius has a special tech that allows them allows them to put infiltration cells on their neighbors that are adjacent to their big purple line without counting against the limit. So if Vernius had a big purple line all along the edge of your empire, they could have infiltration cells all along that purple line that don't count against their 2 or 3 cell limit. So Vernius is very strong at assassinating. Vernius also has a counselor that makes it so that they need fewer information levels in order to launch the assassination. So it's much easier for them to do it with fewer agents acquired. Rally points are super important. You could see that I got this assassination off very quickly because I had a forward airbase that I could just land the assassins here and walk them right in. If I was training back at home and needed to walk all the way across the map up into an assassination cell, that would have slowed me down a lot. So you need, if you're being assassinated, you got to be wary about where they might be coming from. And if you're trying to assassinate someone, you got to be, realistic about how long does it take to even walk an assassin there. If it's a long walk, you're giving them a lot of time to defend. Along that point, assassins are stealthed, but the planes that they fly in on are not. So if you are watching carefully, you might see a plane come up and land and nothing comes out of it. Well, that nothing was probably an assassin, right? Let's see. Smugglers have a counselor that allows them, when they trade influence or intel via diplomacy with other people,
Let's get to business.
it gives them a boost to the information levels they have on that person that they traded with. That's a pretty minor thing, but you should know about it. Beware of smugglers bearing gifts. If they just want to give you a bunch of influence, maybe they're trying to boost their information levels. Who knows? Let's see. Running out of intel increases the chance to capture agents drastically, so you don't want to run out of intel. There is a cap. You can only have one assassin at a time, but note that there is also a resolution in the Landsrad that can come up somewhat randomly that says someone gets 2 extra assassins. So in theory, I could have 1 assassin, I could win that Landsrad resolution, and then I would have 3 assassins. So I could have them, locked and loaded, ready to continue an assassination attempt rapidly. If your counterintelligence catches enemy agents, it sort of locks them in jail, or likewise, if the enemy catches your agents, it gets them locked in jail. And you can trade for agents actually in diplomacy. I don't think anyone has any captured right now, but this little people button here, so you could click on and say, hey, let my agents out of jail, I'll send you some money for that. And then other things to think about when assassinating is assassinations aren't always the best thing for you, right? It gets rid of a rival, but it gets rid of the rival for your rivals at the same time. If number one, beware fast expanders, right? If I kill this guy, suddenly that's a lot of free territory that the Fremen can expand into, or other factions with notable authority gain increases like the Atreides, like the Ekaz. If you murder someone, then suddenly the Atreides could come over, and even though there is the devastated, all the land that they lost has this devastated debuff, so you can't start taking it for 10 days. The Atreides' peaceful annexations actually ignore that. I could start grabbing a bunch of Vernius land immediately with the peaceful annexations. So you got to watch for fast expanders. You may have just handed someone a very easy hedge win, or at least big increase in hedge, or if Baron Harkonnen is chomin hard, he's got tons of money. Maybe you just opened up a couple extra spice fields that he can grab to really supercharge his money. Just because you killed someone doesn't mean that is the best for you. Beware chom market fluctuations. When someone dies, all of their shares get returned to the on-sale share stockpile. As well, it also craters the cost of shares. So look, we just killed Vernius. Line go down big. It makes shares much, 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 much cheaper when someone dies, because they all get returned to the house, and the price for them craters. So if someone is trying to buy Chom shares and someone else gets murdered, that person could buy up their shares and rush to a victory really quickly. So be aware of that. Be aware of problems in the Landsrad. Oftentimes, if someone is getting out way ahead of the political game, they have a lot of votes, maybe they have a lot of influence, they're starting to grab up charters and offices. The way to stop that is usually the rest of the lobby, voting against them. If Ekaz is trying to get governorship, maybe it takes all 3 people just barely voting against them to keep them from getting it. Well, if you kill someone, you just lost, a third of the available votes to stop the Ekaz from getting governorship. So a lot of these other systems, these other win cons, get thrown for a loop and get changed drastically when someone dies to an assassination. So ideally, you're assassinating someone with a plan to make it for you to benefit from it, not just because it's fun to do, although it is fun to do. You want to be able to figure out, can you snap up good land they have? Can you buy up their Chom shares before other people can? Can you leverage their absence to some wins in the Landsrad? Keep that sort of stuff in mind. But we won't belabor the point. That is Assassination Defense and Offense 101. Hope that's helpful. It's a really weird mechanic, but it's a cool one too. It allows, the underdog who doesn't have an army that can contest the enemy to defeat the enemy as well, in another way. Hope you guys like that. that's some Dune assassination guides for you, and there'll be more to come. Probably more gameplay in the coming days, and then maybe some guides after that. We'll see how it goes. As always, thank you. I appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.